Please don't talk. Just listen. I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. I can't stop myself. A desperate voice trembles over the phone, filled with fear, regret, or maybe something far more sinister. A killer, sobbing like a child, begging for help, yet his victims never got the chance to cry for their own lives. Between 1980 and 1982, a mysterious murderer terrorized the city of Minneapolis. His attacks were brutal, his crimes horrific. But what made him truly unique was what came after. He didn't hide. He didn't run. Instead, he called the police himself, his voice shaking, almost hysterical, as he confessed to his own atrocities. Was he a tortured soul, haunted by his actions, or was this just another twisted game? Tonight, we uncover the chilling case of Paul Michael Stephanie, the Weepy-Voiced killer. If you love real crime stories, don't forget to subscribe to the journey of solving a case and hit the like button. Now, let's dive into one of the strangest serial killer cases in history. Main story. It was New Year's Eve, 1980. The city of Minneapolis was alive with celebration, fireworks in the sky, music in the streets. But for one woman, the new year would bring nothing but horror. Karen Potak, a young woman in her 20s, was walking alone after a party when a car pulled up beside her. She never heard him coming. Before she could react, she was attacked, beaten so violently with a tire iron that her skull cracked open. Blood soaked into the snow as she lay unconscious, left to die in the freezing cold. Then, the first call came in. "God, oh my God, someone better find her before she dies." A man's voice, high-pitched, frantic. He was crying, panicked, almost, as if he was in shock at what he had done. But was he? Miraculously, Karen survived. But she had no memory of the attack, no face, no name, only that chilling voice on the phone. For months, the city remained quiet. No more phone calls, no more attacks. Police hoped it had been a one-time act of violence. They were wrong. 6 months later, another woman crossed paths with the killer. Barbara Simons, 40 years old, was enjoying a night out at a local bar when she met a friendly stranger. He was polite, well-dressed, and charming. He offered to give her a ride home, and she accepted, but before she left, she turned to a waitress and casually said, "I hope he's nice, because he's giving me a ride home." The next morning, Barbara's body was found floating in the Mississippi River. She had been stabbed repeatedly, left to bleed out just like Karen. Then, the second call came in. "Please don't talk. Just listen. I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. I can't stop myself." It was the same voice, the same weeping, the same eerie confession, but this time police had a clue. The bar's employees remembered the man who left with Barbara. They described his face, his clothes, even the sound of his voice. Now all they needed was for him to make a mistake, and he did. The killer's last mistake. A few weeks later, another woman was attacked. This time, she fought back. Denise Williams, a sex worker, was picked up by a man who seemed nervous, jittery. As they drove, she sensed something was wrong. Then suddenly, he attacked, grabbing an ice pick and trying to stab her. Denise didn't panic. She fought like hell. She hit him, scratched him, bit him. Somehow she managed to escape and flag down a passing car. The driver, seeing the blood on her, called the police immediately. When officers arrived, they found the attacker still sitting in his car, breathing heavily, his hands shaking. His face was covered in scratches, and blood dripped from his fingers. His name? Paul Michael Stephanie. At first, he denied everything. But then, the police played the Weepy-Voiced phone calls, and Stephanie broke down. "I don't know why I did it. I just couldn't help myself." He confessed to everything: the attacks, the murders, the desperate phone calls to the police. It was all him. But why did he call? Was it guilt? A twisted cry for help? Or was he enjoying the aftermath of his crimes, reliving the horror through the sound of his own voice? In 1982, Paul Michael Stephanie was sentenced to prison for murder and attempted murder. Years later, dying of cancer, he finally admitted to more attacks. His final confession confirmed what investigators had long suspected. There were more victims, and they never got justice. But the biggest question remains: was he truly remorseful? Or was the weeping voice just another mask, another manipulation? Serial killer who cried for his victims, yet kept killing. A man who begged for help, but never stopped himself. Was it guilt, or just a sick thrill? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And if you love real-life crime stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the journey of solving a case. We have many more mysteries to uncover, and the journey is just beginning. Now click on the next video to continue exploring the darkest corners of true crime.